Hello lovely people, this is Shadow Harvest, 'tis the channel. My name is Sam, if you did not know, and we do a video every day here in the month of October. And today I want to discuss fate and some of my weird situations with fate. By situations, I guess I just mean, I don't know, thoughts I've had, things I've mulled over, and my constant wobbly belief on the denial that there is like a set fate plan for everybody. And warring with that, I think, a bit. The reason these thoughts have recently come up for me is that I was flipping through my notes not that long ago, looking at all my meditations through my spiritual journals, my mirror book. One of the things that did pop up for me was I did a meditation where I felt Loki's presence. And I'd been looking into, you know, more of his myths and all these different ideas of, especially with like within certain Norse ideologies, the idea of your fate has been woven in already. Like your death is already predestined in so many ways, and so that's why you can like bravely go into a situation, because you don't need to fear death, because if you're not supposed to die now, you will not. Go into battle hard and ready, because if it is your moment, you will go. There's nothing you can do to change or war against it. It is all set in that way. And it had me think a lot then of Loki's story and of this idea of like a predestined person known as the trickster, known as the manipulator. These idea of prophecies coming through and the idea of Ragnarok as a whole. If you find out about that sooner, if that is locked in at some point to you, I think there is a lot of tragedy in that. And within my meditation of Loki, it was one of those very simple ones where I was just trying to clear my mind, have everything be solid, and kind of just like let whatever ideas came. And it seemed like he just kind of whispered in through the dark. If it was your fate that you and your loved ones would suffer nothing but misery no matter what you do, would you not do everything in your power to make that everyone else's problem? And I would. I 100% would. If you told me that my only reason for being on this earth was that I would suffer, that my loved ones would suffer, that they would be hurt, abused, locked away, denied so many things, regardless of what is fated for them or fated for me, or, you know, regardless of what I'm seeing of their instincts, I guess is a good way to say it. I'm thinking of the lovely Fenrir and wanting to eat the whole world, overgrowing, ever hungry. I think there's a lot of interesting things within that thought process, and specifically why in so many ways the idea of fate, of a predestined anything, is such a hard thing for me to wrap my mind around as something that truly would be the way the world is. Like there is a set path. I do think there is an idea of like patterns in the world. The idea of, oh, well, it is slightly predictable of where you would go because law of averages. Like overall, this has happened kind of like this before, and there is a possibility of it ending up over here. But the idea of like the world having a foundation of chaos, sleepy, weird, anything can happen. I do wonder if then all fate truly is our imposed idea onto the universe to give us some comfort. That there is a very predictable beginning that can easily be explained and an end that can easily be explained. Especially because Ragnarok, I find, is a very interesting thing as you look into that myth, because of some of the idea of when is it? Because there is the whole idea of like man surviving Ragnarok. And so if you know that you survive a partial end of the world situation, humans, so did Ragnarok already happen? Or is it going to? When is this supposed thing going to occur? Did it already? Is this a story of something that has already been done, if that is your worldview? And it makes me wonder a lot, because I don't know, there's something that my mom said to me, very new age of thought in general, and one of her beliefs was that, much in many new age circles, the idea that you came in and kind of picked your life. But she always left a caveat of, I think there are certain people we pick to live a life with. I think there are certain things that are very important, major events. But that does not mean that things can't go awry. And I always loved that caveat or thing that she gave onto it, because I think my idea, if we are living multiple lives, is very similar. It's a looser version of fate. It's an idea that certain things possibly are immovable because the gods, fate, something else is intervening. Maybe our higher selves, maybe there's a bunch of different things that could be getting the fingers in and making a certain point within the span of our lives more fixed than others. But that's not to say that then everything in between one point and another is up for interpretation. How the fuck you get there could be straight, could be wibbly wobbly, could be all over the place. You could jump like a freaking grasshopper, who knows? But these fixed points then too, I think it's also an idea of, in a metaphor of a way, because this is also all over the place, right? What is that thing being fixed to? These things of fates. If I had a very interesting idea when 2020, 2022, all these major things are happening, the idea of living in so many unprecedented times. When major fluxes in society or the world at large or in your life are happening, it does make me wonder if a stake is like stabbed into the ground. We think of the ground as so solid, so hard, immovable. And if that stake is there and this stake is here and you tie a string, like you're trying to get one from one stake to the other, well, okay, these things are immovable, but you could wibbly wobbly your ways either way. And what if then there's an earthquake? What if suddenly there's a split and a gorge and now like the stake's all the way the fuck over here? What if there, it gets pulled up by something else? There are things I think that could possibly change our fates. Could move the fixed points in our lives, and it does then become very interesting of, okay, well then is the entire university working in a certain way to then fix it and bring that fixed point back? Is that now been a wash and we move on to the next fixed point? It's very, I think, complex in so many ways, and yet also kind of terrifying to think of all these complexities and things interweaving. And honestly, at the end of the day, just not knowing, was this all fated? Was this all planned, preordained, destined? Or is it one big chaotic mess? And honestly, when it really comes down to it, so much of that phrase what was interesting to me that like kind of came through in that meditation where Loki and I connected is the idea of knowing. If you know, you are destined. But I don't know. I have no idea if it's destiny or if it's all chaos bunch. I lean more toward the chaos with maybe a wibble wobbly bit of order kind of attempted to slap on there. But I don't know, and no one really knows what is the be all end all. But where does that knowledge come from? A self-fulfilling prophecy comes, I think, in so many ways from that. You think this is how the world is going to go. You think this is how your life may end up, and because you didn't think to look past that of a different option, well, now it is preordained because you went straight for the spike. You didn't think, are there other ones? Is there a way to shift this? Maybe I can shift it off and around. What really comes down to it is the idea that none of this is planned. All of this is chaos, wibbly wobbly, and therefore nothing good, nothing bad, nothing is preordained. It's all up to us. I think puts a lot more pressure, puts in a weird perspective our idea of control. Because I think there is an idea that if you find out the plan, the one big truth, you know what the fates have in store for you. If you can figure it out, well, then you know what to do with your life. Then you know whether to rage against it and make it everyone else's problem, or you know to go along with it because you like it, you don't want to fight your fate because you don't want to make your life harder. You would know. And it is something very terrifying to admit, at least for me, that one, if fate is not a thing, if it's entirely up to the universe at large and us and society and everyone else, to see what happens. It means that, yeah, you have some control, but not entirely, which means there is a chance for you to possibly get what you would want, or things you can't even imagine wanting. It is within your ability to at least try to get those, but there are so many other factors. It's not a yes or no question. It is so much more complex than that. And you might never 100% understand the complexities within this life, or any of our lives, if we so do go on. But anyway, that was today's little mulling. And I think it's also something that is a key for me with the Loki interactions that I've had more so recently, is this, he doesn't seem to pop up as much as Sobek or Persephone does. I'm feeling a lot of Persephone stuff going on right now for me. I think there is a lot of stuff I want to do with my art involved with her. There is just a holding on that she has with me. But and Sobek kind of comes in and out when he wants, but the instinct, that underlying thing, kind of is always there. And Loki just pops whenever the fuck he wants to. It's much more chaotic in that sense. But it is this constant, him like pulling at the threads of what I think are the foundation to the sweater of my knowledge of how the world works. He is constantly pulling at that shit, trying to unweave it entirely and make me reimagine and think in so many ways. Anyway, at least that's how I interpret it. So anyway, comment down below, how are you guys feeling about fate? Warring with it, not warring with it? Do you have these weird ups and downs and thoughts and through? I always find it very interesting to the people who maybe don't necessarily find it comforting at all, but still very much like, yeah, well, I mean, it's just, some things are set in stone. You deal with it. You just deal. If you're one of those, explain to me how that fits into your paradigm, because it's a fascinating line of thought to me. So anyway, this is Utopia, so I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.